What's good? This is JVB representing SPD, and that is sportsperdiem.com. Dana White been hyping up this whole Fight Island thing for a while now. This man has literally talked about this for months, and finally it's going to be a real thing. This Saturday, July 11th, UFC 251 taking place on Fight Island. They put 3 title fights on this card for the vacant UFC Bantamweight Championship. Peter Yan takes on Jose Aldo. It's a rematch for the Featherweight Championship as Alexander Volkanovski looks to defend the UFC Featherweight Championship for the very first time against the longtime Featherweight Champion, Max Holloway. And then in the main event, the Welterweight Champion Kamaru Usman was to defend his UFC Welterweight Championship against his own teammate, Gilbert Burns. So a couple of days ago, news came out that Gilbert Burns had to pull out his title fight against Kamaru Usman because guess what? He got the coronavirus. So I was thinking to myself like, damn, Dana White been hyping up this Fight Island forever. And then we get close to the event. We're a week away from the show. And then one of the main event guys had to pull out of the fight. I was thinking like, damn, that sucks. But at least we got Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway to jump up and be the main event of the show. But the UFC came out and told me and everybody else like, hey, hold that thought real quick. Because now news has come out that there is a new challenger for Kamaru Usman at UFC 251 this Saturday, July 11th. That man being Jorge Masvidal. Now, recently we've been hearing from Jorge Masvidal about how he wants to get paid better. He wants to get a pay raise because he feels like he's exceeded his previous contract. And I don't blame him because last year in 2019, that was the year of Jorge Masvidal and Israel Adesanya. They were the 2 big breakout stars in the UFC in 2019. And in Jorge Masvidal's case, that wasn't the plan. We already knew that the UFC wanted to push Israel Adesanya because that was the plan, and for Israel Adesanya, he did his part. He won all his fights and he won the title and he's the UFC middleweight champion and he's one of the biggest stars in the UFC today. But on Jorge Masvidal's side, he was a journeyman. He was a gatekeeper in the welterweight division. Yes, he made it to a certain point, but a lot of people looked at him like, that's the tipping point. He's not going to be better than that. They sent them out to England to lose to Darren Till. And yes, I said to lose to Darren Till because that's what they wanted. They brought over Ben Askren. Ben Askren and Darren Till had they beef. And that was what they wanted to do. They wanted Darren Till to come back after his title loss and have an impressive victory over Jorge Masvidal and then fight Ben Askren. But Jorge Masvidal came over there and he was like, hold on, espera. This ain't gonna happen on my watch. He went in there, he knocked out Darren Till, and then we all remember what happened after the show. Him and Leon Edwards had that altercation, the 3-piece in the soda hole situation. So that boosted up Jorge Masvidal. So now Jorge Masvidal has that aura around him. He's getting more popular, and they set him up against Ben Askren at the big show in July. And we know 5 seconds later, Jorge Masvidal knocked out Ben Askren, the quickest knockout in UFC history. And that was it. He now became a superstar. He goes out and he beats Nate Diaz for the BMF title. And the legend of Jorge Masvidal continues. So now on 1 week's notice, Jorge Masvidal is challenging Kamaru Usman for the UFC Welterweight Championship. This was the fight that was supposed to happen in the first place, but Jorge Masvidal and the UFC, they couldn't come to an agreement on a pay raise. Well, it looks like somebody got a raise because Jorge Masvidal definitely wasn't going to take this fight if Dana White and the UFC wasn't pulling out big bank. I won't be surprised if he getting paid more than Kamaru Usman in this fight. If Jorge Masvidal's been training and he took the fight on a week's notice, so I'm sure he's in pretty good shape. If Jorge Masvidal is in good shape, it's going to be a tough fight for Kamaru Usman because Jorge Masvidal is a very good wrestler. He has very good takedown defense. And if he does get taken down, he knows how to get right back up. Kamaru Usman, just like Khabib, he's very good at holding you. He's very good at smothering you, wearing you out, taking you down eventually, and beating you up. I don't believe he's going to be able to do that for 5 rounds against Jorge Masvidal. But for Kamaru Usman, you have to stick to that game plan. You have to test his cardio. You have to see, this guy took this fight on a week's notice. I got to see what this guy's cardio is at. Because Kamaru Usman, and I like Kamaru Usman. I wrote an article a few years ago about Kamaru Usman saying that he will one day be the UFC welterweight champion. and here he is. But Kamaru Usman striking is developing, but he ain't gonna be able to strike for 5 rounds with Jorge Masvidal. So his best option is gonna be get in close, grab a hold of Jorge, push him over to the cage, wear down on him, try to take him down, keep trying to take him down. Maybe you take him down and then just beat him up. That's the game plan for Kamaru Usman, because I believe if he tries to stand in there long enough for Jorge Masvidal for 5 rounds, it's going to be a new UFC welterweight champion come July 11th. But I love this fight. You know, it's unfortunate for Gilbert Burns. You know, he's been on such a hot streak of late, but his life and his health, that's most important. You know, that's more important than anything. And I hope he gets past the coronavirus, and he will be back, you know. But this was the fight that's supposed to happen in the first place. Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal for the UFC welterweight championship. Hopefully everything stays good by July 11th, and we're going to get that fight. I'm so fucking happy about this fight. I'm so pumped up for this fight, and I know you guys are as well. But I'm out. Like the video and share the video, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, take it easy. God bless. Peace.